touched on Blackstone's significant involvement in the formation of the company, and they're still a major shareholder today. Can you touch on their role as a shareholder and as representatives in the boardroom? In most cases, I think shareholders dislike major shareholder overhang, particularly private equity firms who are ultimately going to sell. And while that's new territory or a new frontier in the REIT space, I suspect that people have generally a positive outlook or view on Blackstone's involvement, but perhaps that's not the case.
Well, so when we came public, Blackstone had 80% stake in the company, and as Guy mentioned, down now just a touch over 40%. And so with that, they lost their majority of seats in the boardroom. They have 4 out of 9 seats. I think, from my perspective, it's been very helpful to have Blackstone in the boardroom. You can't a month can't go by without picking up some news report of some transaction that they've been involved in. And so they see so much across so many asset classes, so much trends, capital markets activity. I think they're right on the cusp of the wave whenever there's a change. And we did a term loan a couple of years ago, right as that market was really opening up. And I think we got some of the best terms from that. But I look and say one of my bigger challenges, and I'll say this to your point, our shareholders hate the overhang. They hate it. And Blackstone would say, what do you mean they hate it? Like, they get to invest with us with no promote, no fees. We should get a premium for that, right? Why is there a discount for the overhang? And it really comes to just the shares coming into the market, and the investors would just like to see that process finalized. But from the company's perspective, the real challenge is having engaged board members, and I'm the beneficiary today of very engaged board members. I think that's unlike a lot of boards that exist in REIT land, where a good board meeting is that everybody made it through awake. That's not our board meetings. Our board meetings are lively, and they're raucous to some degree. So I think we're very fortunate with it, and it's something that I take it now as my real challenge, and I'm sure we have to maintain a very engaged board going forward.
And this may be a bit of a softball, but is that overhang? You say the shareholders would like that overhang to go away. Is that because it's depressed the value of the shares in their mind or in their mind?
Well, John says John Grace says who's on our board and I'm still very active, says that overhang. I hear it, and investors have had to suffer through roughly a 40% total return since IPO over 18 months. So it's really painful for them to go through it. But I think, look, investors, they want the noise out of the stock. They look at Blackstone selling forward that overhang, meaning that as the stock moves higher, it is somewhat of a governor potentially on price. But I would say Blackstone's been very prudent as they've sold. Every time they've sold, the stock has been higher than the time before, and the stock continues to move. And as we have put more stock in the market, our appeal to investors broadens because we're able to bring in. We have more liquidity. People can move in and out. And today, we're mainly held through mid-cap value funds. Those are some of our larger investors today who see the value that the REIT dedicateds maybe are shunning a little bit.